Guys, I've got the man of the moment, Mr. Ryan Peach, with me. He has graciously chosen to give us some of his time to break down how he did it. You know, this is a series where we're featuring different men within the Powerful Man movement and really breaking down how they were able to turn it around, dive into the shift in their mindsets, the shift in the actions that they have taken as well, so that you are able to make some of those shifts as well if you want to experience something similar to these guys. So, Ryan, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the men that we have on live and the men that will be watching on the replay?
Yes, I'm Ryan Peach. I'm pretty sure 35 years old. And currently I live in Evansville, Indiana, but as the guys know, that is about to change. And I actually have more news for you on that you're going to love.
Oh, wow.
But we're going to be moving to Florida very, very soon. And I'm in real estate, both as a realtor and as a real estate investor. I have been married to my beautiful wife, Allie, for 10 years, and I have two little girls that are now 5 years old, 5.5, if I were to be correct, 5.5 and 4. So that is Julep and Charlie. And that is me in a nutshell. I joined the Powerful Man back in October, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you did.
And went to the Alpha Reset in late March, early April. And the rest is history.
And the funny thing is that the same gym that I first had the conversation with you at?
It is.
Wow.
Yes.
So right now, Ryan's walking up and down outside the gym because he's going to go in the gym after this. And I remember that conversation. You were in the gym and you phoned me and you shared, obviously, that you just come out of marriage counseling, I think, with your wife.
Yep.
And I'll let you take it away. Can you remember the conversation?
Yeah. So it was, we had been struggling for a while, and I call it halfway trying to deal with it. But we were going to marriage counseling, and marriage counseling was good, except for it left me just feeling worse, right? It's like, here are the areas you're not stepping up. Here are the areas that you need to do better. And I remember telling you that I felt like I was basically standing at 2 points in my life that I can continue to try and do marriage counseling until we get divorced. And, I can continue down this path of self-destruction, or I've got to do something to radically change my life, because I've been trying to do for the last 10 years is obviously not working. And so it was an opportunity to choose a different path. And there you guys were, just standing right in the fork in that road.
So what was going on in your relationship then that caused you to go to the marriage counseling?
Sure. So right before when I met my wife, I was working in a church, and we committed the cardinal sin, right? We had sex before we got married, and we came to the church for help with that. And their help was to fire me, and not provide any support. So that became a very defining moment for us in our marriage. And so for almost at least 9 years, we really struggled on the intimate parts of our marriage. We were great business partners. We were good friends. But when it came to intimacy and connection, we didn't. We didn't have sex very often. We didn't hold hands. We didn't share our deep hurts, our deep desires with one another. And that left a huge hole in our relationship. And we kept trying to fix it through counseling. We kept trying to fix it through honestly working harder, taking little trips here and there, but never dealing with any of the issues. And let's see now, almost a year and a half ago, a friend of ours actually tried to break up my marriage. And I caught the messaging going on between he and my wife and got it stopped. She apologized. And we again, that was another huge rift, but we tried to work through it. There was another small incident where she went away on a trip with some friends and hung out with a guy all night and didn't tell him that she was married. She said nothing happened with them, but she just felt really bad about that and told me about it when she got back. And so we were headed for divorce. We just were. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that that's where we were going. And so we were more distant than we had ever been. There was more distrust than there had ever been. And I had finally gotten to the point where I was done. And I was just completely done.
And what did Ali put it down to? What was the reason why she... because we say it so often, right, that the women either do one of two things. Either they rise and become the alpha, or they kind of shrink away and become either anxious, depressed, or seek salvation in the arms of another man. So what did she put it down to?
Sure. So it was, and I had heard this our whole marriage, right? It was step up. I want you to lead. I want you to be the man. I worked for my dad for a time. It was tell your dad how you really feel. You need to have that conversation. So it was a lot of asking me, demanding of me, hoping that I would step to the line and be honest with those around me and tell them what I really wanted, tell them my deepest fears, my deepest desires. And I didn't do that. I didn't do that in the small things. I realized after getting into the Powerful Man that I put almost every decision on her, right? I asked questions. What do you want to do for dinner? Where do you want to go on a date? What do you want to address the kids in this morning? So every decision in our life was put on her shoulders. And so she became alpha in a lot of ways. And then she didn't want to be. So yeah, she tried to escape into the arms of another person that was meeting a need that I was not meeting. And so she was put in a position where she was not given the opportunity to be herself and not be a woman at all, because I was not being the man that I was called to be.
Wow. And remember, we had that conversation and I shared something with you, didn't I? And it's so poignant that right now you're at the gym, the very place that we had the first ever conversation.
Yeah.
Today we're doing, it's kind of like a before and after. It's insane.
It's insane.
Just describe to the guys, fill the guys in, when you went back to her and you shared something with her and she almost breathed a sigh of relief, didn't she? She was like, oh, wow. And that was kind of the start of the change. What did you share with her?
Gosh, now you're asking me to pull from my memory. Let's see. So
I can give you a hint if you want.
I would love that, because I've come so far that I've forgotten. So yeah, give me a hint.
So what you did was when we were talking about the dynamic between man and wife and how when women don't have that container of the masculine container in which they feel safe and can bounce around in and be feminine, basically, they then feel vulnerable to attack, right? And that's when they either rise and become the alpha or fall and either get anxious or depressed. And we've seen this with other wives of the guys in the brotherhood, right? Or seek salvation in the arms of another man. Now, what you then did when you realized this was you went back to her and you basically took total ownership and came clean, because a light bulb had gone off that, holy shit, I now understand what she means about step to the line and the man up and all these things she was telling you, but you just didn't get.
Yes.
For so long, you, like a lot of us, thought that the way to provide was through making money. So all your attention and all your energy was thrust into business. And you did really well in business. But what it meant was there was a huge chasm at home, which we're just getting told to man up and step up and so on. So basically, when you went back to her, you said, Ali, I realized, you know what? I take total ownership.
Full
I have not.
responsibility. Yep.
Yeah. And that's when she almost fell into your arms. She breathed a sigh of relief. He's there. He gets it. He sees it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We had our phone call and I went home and and so there was a lot of tension, right? Like there was a lot of like distance, right? She's protecting herself. And I just came in and I was like, I need you to know that I am so sorry, that I take full responsibility for everything that you've done. As far as looking to go somewhere else, I've pushed you in that direction. For the distance that is in our relationship, I take full responsibility. And here is what I am going to do to get where I need to be.
That's the key, right?
Yeah, that was it. And she cried. I mean, she just lost it. She gave me a big hug and she was like, finally, you're seeing it. And then, and then came the activation method and the alpha reset. And thank you for talking me through all of the like tests that I'm going to get for the rest of my life. Because she was like, cool, that's awesome. I'm so happy that you got this. And then it was, in the coming weeks, it was like, okay, cool. I'm going to test and see if this is real. And I got to pass most of those tests because I had genuinely changed my mindset. I was like, I'm going to take full ownership of this relationship. If I am to be the leader, if I am to be the alpha of this relationship, then it falls on me to lead and to be the one taking us in a certain direction. And it has just, exploded into this amazing relationship that, and what I love is this is just the beginning. Like this is, it's not even been a year.
Now you're showing off.
Yeah. And I love it. I love it. Oh man. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And this is just the beginning.
So tell us more then about where you're at now then. What's the change in the marriage?
Sure. So the biggest change in the marriage, which I've kind of touched on, is me. Is I set the tone every day for our marriage. And when I took that responsibility and began to observe how my actions affected everybody else, I was way more mindful of what I did to take care of myself. So it's been life-changing. So on a daily basis now, I will get up and I take myself time, whether it is meditation or some sort of workout in the morning, taking a walk in nature, whatever it is, I take time for myself to get my head straight, to be ready to go for the day. And then I take time with my wife. And used to in the mornings, we would take an hour or so together. And it always started with work and it always ended with work. And now I'm like, nope, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about us. We're going on vacation soon. What are you going to wear? What are we going to do? What's the first thing you're going to do when we get there? And I'm allowing her, inviting her to be a woman and to think about those things. And it has been beautiful. Like you said, to fall into my arms, right? Like in every way, with her words, with her actions, with her body language, she is leaning into me more because I am now that container that she can be herself in.
I love it. And one thing you touched on there that I think the guys watching this will really benefit from is you spoke about taking care of yourself first. Now, a lot of the guys in the community, where a lot of them have been is similar to where you were and where I was as well, is that they've prioritized business first. That's the lie we've been told, right, in society. Yep. To be a man, you got to go out there, make money, sacrifice yourself, hustle, force, grind, exhaust yourself, kill yourself basically, and kill your relationships, and all to make money, and then you'll be happy. It's ridiculous. And a big shift for you is that, a big shift for you then comes in, you've reordered, we talk about them in 5 territories, right? Business, wealth, health, self, relationships. And when I first spoke to you, territory number 1 was business.
Yeah.
And number 2 was wealth. This is always the way it is. Number 1 was business. Number 2 was wealth. And then if you had any energy and time left, you'd get to the 3rd, which would be relationships. And then your health and you got left behind. So you never had the capacity to actually show up in the other ones. Now, the shift that has happened is instead of business being number one, self becomes the first territory. That's the foundation. Then it's your health. Then it's relationships. Then it's wealth, energy of abundance, and then it's business.
Yep.
And what are some of the shifts in the mindset and the beliefs that you've had to go through to retrain yourself with to get to that point?
So the biggest one, and Arthur planted the seed, and then you guys have hammered it home for me, was the have to versus get to mentality, right? And that was a lot of where my orientation came from. I have to make this money. I have to provide. And then when I do that, she'll want me. I'll feel successful. I have to go to the gym. I have to look good, because if I don't, then this. And that is just not true. And
it's exhausting, right?
It's exhausting.
It's never ending.
Right. Because there's no end to that goal, right? Like there is no end to like, okay, cool. I've made, like, if you make $1 million, you can make 2. If you make 2, you can make 10. And all the while you've left your wife behind, and she's, doing God knows what, because you weren't there anyways. And so now, I've reoriented my life where I get to wake up and think about gratitude first. I get to take care of myself. I get to come to the gym and gift myself the opportunity to be healthy. I get to take my wife on a date. I get to talk to her every day. And that is that energy of abundance, right? Like that has been life-changing for me to realize that it is everywhere. Like there is more time, there is more energy, there is more money, there is more love, and all of these things all around us. It's just accepting that they are there and that they are there for us. And that mindset has totally transformed the way I do everything. So case in point, very small point this morning. We are doing a redevelopment project on a house, and we needed 2 gallons of paint to get to the house. And my wife was talking to the painters this morning, and they were supposed to have left paint there. They said they did. The contractor said they didn't. And so she went into her crazy, right? Like her, like bouncing back and forth from emotions to thoughts that we need to do this. And she's like, well, we're just going to have to go to the store and get it. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. We are not giving up an hour and a half of our day to go do this. And so I got on the phone with the painters, and my wife said to me, she's like, I already asked them to do it. And I was like, that's cool. I'm going to ask. And as we're speaking, they're doing it for us, and it was that leadership, right? It was, no, this is what our day is going to look like. I took on brother Omar's, 8-hour work week. And so, I'm like, I have my 2 hours of work planned for later, and that's not right now. And so I'm not going to work right now. And that, again, that's one of those tests, right? The opportunity to step up and say, like, are you going to lead, or are you going to follow your wife as she leads, right? And she loved it. She loved it. It was one more little notch in the belt of, you are leading this family the way you should be.
So how has this changed, like, the actual intimacy with your wife and your relationship with your kids as well? Because before this, when you put in business first and then, money and relationships, and before the shift in mindset, you just don't feel like you have the capacity, do you, to deal with it all. And, that's where you then, lost temper with your kids, like so many men do, and so on. So what has the shift been? How is life different now? With intimacy, with your kids?
Sure. So with my kids, first and foremost, it was a lot of just constant stress and anger and frustration all the time. Whether it was, if I was playing with them, I was thinking about working. If I was working, I was feeling like a bad dad because I should be playing with my kids. So I could never win. No matter where I always wanted to be somewhere else. And then came nighttime, right? And any parent knows trying to get your kid to bed is one of the most difficult things. And so it always ended up with screaming and, putting one of them in another room and yelling. And, I even used to say, like, if I can get them to cry, I know that I'm going to win, because then they'll be able to calm down and they'll go to bed, which is just insane. Right. And so that now is, I am fully in charge of bedtime. I put them to bed.
What claim to fame?
Yeah.
That's a result. It's serious though. That's a good claim to fame.
I am fully in control. I tell the girls when we go to bed, I give them the yes, we're doing this, no, we're not doing that. And yes, it is still a fight. Sometimes they are still kids. They are allowed to be kids. But again, what has changed is the realization that yelling and screaming only creates more yelling and screaming, versus being the rain to their fire. I don't succeed at it every day, but it is immensely better than it was. With regards to intimacy and my wife, that is on another planet right now. So before, it was me constantly pursuing, right? Like, look how much money I made. Look at what I bought you. Look at where we're going. Look at, me, see me, and every once in a while she'd throw me a bone and she'd see me, and we'd,
literally throw you a bone.
Literally throw me a bone. Literally.
That's great.
And so and again, exhausting, right? Like, it was constant pursuit of this goal. And now my mindset is, I am enough. I am amazing. I don't need you to want me. I want you to want me. And I want the opportunity to pursue you, but I also want to see your pursuit in me. And if it's not there, we need to have a conversation about what's going on. And the most drastic change, and this is not sexual in that sense, but it is very intimate. My wife has told me for years that she's not touchy-feely. That she's like, sorry, I don't want to cuddle. I don't want to do those things. It's not you. That's not me. Now, like, I will be the one sitting on the couch watching TV, reading a book or whatever, and she'll come sit next to me and she'll cuddle up to me and put her arms on me, and grab my butt instead of the other way around, which is nice. And it is her pursuit of me has begun, versus me constantly always being the one to get her to see me. Now it's just this attraction, this natural attraction that occurs because, again, I've created space for her to be a woman.
Wow. It's incredible. So if you could give any advice to the former Ryan of, let's say, 8 months ago,
yeah,
what would you tell him?
That leading is not a possibility or something you may or may not do. It's a standard that you need to have for yourself. And what I mean by that is, as a man, first of all, as a person, you should be leading your own life. You should be leading yourself. You should be asking yourself questions like, what do you want? What matters to you? What do you think about that decision? And not look to others to give you your answer, your fulfillment, because that's what I did all the time. I wanted to know what everybody else thought, and then I would make my decision. So that owning of yourself is very important. And then when it comes to relationship, owning 100% of your 50%. That it is not my job to make people feel a certain way, but it is my job to tell them exactly how I feel and exactly what I want and need. And that, while scary, is the most freeing and beautiful thing you can give yourself.
Wow. And what? You going to say something else?
And something that you have said over and over, which is beautiful, is like, there is no end goal. that was always something, right? I was achieving. You are on a journey for the rest of your life. And that is a beautiful gift that you get to give to yourself, that you get to top of one mountain. That's amazing. Take around and look at it. It means that you have the opportunity to go climb another one, to go swim in another ocean, to go do that thing. It never ends. And isn't that wonderful?
So well said. And that's the thing, right? We talk about the journey being the destination, because so often, again, the lie that society tricks us into believing that when you reach this certain point, then you've made it.
Yep.
You're going to get the love and the respect and the attention and the sex and the adoration that you need in order to be a man and, feel fulfilled and all the rest of it. So what we do is we'll then go ahead and do that, put all our eggs in one basket on this one point in time. Yep. But the trouble is, as soon as we get near to that point, we just go straight past it and move on to the next goal and the next project. And it's never ending. And that's where the burnout and the exhaustion and, you look behind you and there's just a trail of destruction.
It's just carnage. That's right. That's all it is it's broken relationships with family and friends, your kids, your wife, yourself. You may have attained the money, but you have literally lost everything else. And I now am at a point where I'm like, we are going to be so good, and there's no dollar amount attached to that. It is, I have the 5 areas of my life in order and on track. And I know if I walk that path that I will get exactly where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah. I was doing some journaling this morning, and what came out is that, you can be rich on the outside and have all the things, all the money and the home and the holidays and the car. But really, if you are poor on the inside, then you're still surviving, right?
Yeah.
You might look like you're rich, but really you're poor because you don't have that love and joy and connection. And, they're the 5 freedoms that we talk about. And also the 5 agonies as well. On the other side of that, one destination, 2 paths. Yep. The other side of that is, the 5 agonies of greed, and then anger and shame, loneliness, and then uncertainty, because we go after things thinking we need them and we're never satisfied. So it ends up being greed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get angry because your kids want to play with you and you don't have the capacity, or you're making broken promises and they're eating away at you, and you're just this volcano ready to erupt. And then you do erupt, so you feel shame. and then when you do that, you then isolate yourself and pull yourself away, because it's like, well, what's the point me even being here or being around or whatever? It's just easier for me to work more, and then you enter the 5th agony of uncertainty, because at that point, you don't really know if everyone's going to stay around for much longer. Yeah. And it's a scary place to be.
And like where, you're uncertain, because what is enough? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What decision? Well, if I make this decision, it's going to affect this, and that's not good. But if I do this, it's, you never have that assurance in yourself that you're doing the right things, that you are enough. And now the difference with me is like, I start every day with more than enough. Like everything on top of that is just an adventure in and of itself. Now, it's not always fun, but it is not defining of who I am. It's just simply a part of my journey. And that relief is I mean, you want to talk about the best weight loss program ever. Like, that's it. That's it. You're that, like, weight off of your shoulders and out of your stomach and out of your chest is like, you just feel like you weigh 50 pounds lighter overnight. And so a story on uncertainty, right? So I told you that we've been trying to move to Florida for quite some time, and
just tell the guys why Florida.
Sure. So Florida is where I met my wife, and so this is something that came up for me that you're going to love. So I moved to Florida for another girl. We broke up, and I met my wife, and I just love Florida. I never wanted to leave, but through financial crisis back 15 years ago, had to move, or 10 years ago, had to move. And so we've lived in Indiana and have always wanted to get back, but never thought that was possible, right? Like, I can't do that. I can't make this happen. And since joining TPM, I started asking crazy questions like, what do you really want? Where do you really want to live?
Crazy question.
Crazy question, right? And in talking about one destination, two paths, there were a lot of roots that we had planted here, not necessarily good ones, but they were roots nonetheless. And those needed to be removed before we could move. A guy came in town, not looking to sell my properties that I had here, wanted to buy them all. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He was not here to buy them. It was like, I literally handed him my phone with some numbers on it. And he's like, cool, I'll buy them all. So that was like, the world coming down to me. So that happened. And in doing that, that pulled up 2 additional roots of bad relationships that we needed to sever. So that happened. We needed to sell our house. It was under contract and sold in about 10 hours, and which we just closed on officially 2 days ago. And so I no longer own really anything here, which was amazing. And so we were going to move back to where we were before, because that was easy. That was what made the most sense. And so I told you guys, like, I signed a lease, right? I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I signed a lease, right? And so now, because I have created this space for my wife to be honest and to be herself, she came to me after I've signed the lease and I've paid the money. She came to me and she said, I don't want to move back home. I want to live in St. Augustine, which is about an hour north. And it's just beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And I was like, okay, we talked about this. It's too expensive. Right. And she's like, I know, but that's really where I want to be. Like, okay. So we found a place that came on the market that day that's actually cheaper than the place we were going to move in Ormond. And talked to the guy, did a walkthrough. They love us. They're young people like us. And they actually have place to store our 2 kayaks that we bought. So we actually bought kayaks in Florida before we even moved. And so now I have to deal with getting out of the lease and getting my money back, right? So I called Doug, and Doug was like, dude, just tell the lady that you're not going to live there and see what she says. Like, don't create a story that doesn't exist. You know what you want, put it out there, see what happens. So that's what I did. I called the lady up, or I sent her a voice message and said, hey, we've decided we're not going to move to Ormond. Sorry, I just wanted to let you know as soon as possible so you could find a quality tenant. She sent me a message back, no problem, your deposit's already in the mail. Thanks. If you ever want to come stay here again, let me know. So
easy as that.
Easy as that. So now not only am I moving to Florida in September, but I'm moving to the exact city, in the exact part of that city that I want to move to for cheaper than where I was getting ready to move.
All because you said yes.
All because I said yes.
Wow. What a great caveat to that. I wasn't aware of that.
That just happened. That was last night and this morning.
Wow, man. It's amazing what happens when you open up. And, for the guys watching, we have a process called the creed, which the guys first go through the truth to achieve peace, and then move into the creed where they can really start to create what they want. And the 4 steps of the creed are accept, choose, decide, and commit. So accept, take radical responsibility. Choose, ask yourself empowering questions. Decide, make a decision based on what feels right. And then be committed but unattached. So committed to the outcome, but unattached how you get there. And what a great example.
And that's just one. I mean, that's like we would have to do like 4 more Facebook Lives, an hour each, to talk about what's happened in the last 8 months. It's out. It is beyond what I ever thought possible. And again, now I see this is just the beginning. Like, I told Doug, I'm like, it's the dream of dreams, right? Like it's everything you want, except it's better than that.
Wow. It's like you've learned some hidden secret, and you've opened this trap door, and you've stepped into it to a completely different reality. But really, the secret is choosing to say no to burning yourself out and hustling like a madman, choosing the different path, the path that we talk about, and just staying true to it, and things open up. Right.
That's exactly right. Like, that's something I didn't want to believe. Right. Like, when you first talked about, like, life is meant to be easy. Like, stop struggling so much. Stop where I'm like, no, sure, life comes easy to you, Tim. Sure, and like, but you don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know. And it was fear and pride and disbelief that wanted to make my decisions for me, right? Versus like, no, this is how you feel, and that is the most important. Like, your body, your mind, your spirit is telling you this is what is best for us, and you are meant to have the best for yourself. And now, choosing that more and more and more, the world continues to open up more and more and more, and my container just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I keep filling more holes, and it's like, there's no words. It's just amazing.
Wow. So as we wrap up here, Mr. Ryan Peach, do you have any words to the guys that either watching this live or on the replay? Guys, do you have any questions for Ryan that you'd like him to answer as well? And while we're waiting for those questions to come through, brother, any words you want to say to the guys in the community?
Yeah. First and foremost, you already have it. You are already enough. You were enough when you woke up. You already had enough money, enough resources, enough love, enough strength, enough health. All of those things were already there for you. What Tim and the guys are able to do is to teach you the tools and the methods to be able to see it, accept it, and to grow with those things. I wish that I could grab all of you by the face and like get you to jump and to do and to go and just to buy in fully, because I didn't, right? Like, I called you and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get up, and and if I didn't do this, I can't imagine where I would be. And so it's you are enough, and you have enough, and just trusting that you guys are leading them to a life that they only thought possible in their wildest dreams. Like, that's literally what this is. And when you wake up every morning and you know that you're enough and that you have enough, everything else on top of that is just the cherry on top. That's just the whipped cream and the icing and the banana split to a already beautiful, wonderful life. So embrace that, and embrace this group, embrace these guys. You will never, ever, ever regret it.
Wow. Well, brother, thank you so much for your time. I know you went to go into the gym. I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much. Sure. Guys, if you're watching it on the replay, then if you want to ask any questions, I'm sure I certainly will catch them. Obviously, I'll be made aware of them. And Ryan, thank you. Have a terrific day, brother, and all you guys watching, you too. Have a terrific day.
Yeah, have a great day. And any questions, shoot them Tim's way, my way. I'll be happy to do my part as well. So thank you for the opportunity to talk. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. And one other thing, guys, if you're watching this, if you want to know more about how the activation method might be able to help you, then head over to thepowerfulman.com/freedom. You'll see Ryan on there with lots of other fine men, and you'll be able to hear their journeys and their stories and find out if it's for you. So it works best for businessmen who feel very empty, exhausted, alone, and they just know they're capable of more. Something's missing. They know they're capable of more, being a better entrepreneur, a better father, a better man, and just operating on another level. So that's thepowerfulman.com/freedom. So guys, thank you again. Ryan, thank you.
Yes.
Speak to you all soon.
Thank you. Cheers.